Just waiting on the go-ahead. Hold on, folks. All right. Calling the meeting of the Stearns County Planning Commission to order on October 16th at 6 p.m. As Shelley mentioned, there are speaker cards out there. So again, if you do have comments, would like to provide testimony, please fill out the speaker card, hand them off to Shelley, and then she'll give them to me before we have the session. And then again, as Shelley mentioned, if you do hear something that you want to comment on after the fact, you can come up. We'll run through the cards and then open it to a larger testimony. All right, so we have a new member today, Leroy Gondriger from District 5. So Leroy, would you care to recite your oath of office?
I would. I, Leroy Gondringer, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and that I will faithfully execute and discharge the duties of the Planning Commission in the County of Stearns, Minnesota, according to the law and to the best of my ability and understanding. I recite this oath as part of the proceedings of the Stearns County Planning Commission on 16th of October, 2025.
Thank you, Leroy.
Mr. Chair, I just want to welcome Leroy back to the Planning Commission. He served in years past and done an outstanding job, so welcome back, Leroy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. So a roll call of the Planning Commission members. District 1, Jason Winderman, that's me, I'm here. District 2, David Bentrude.
Here.
District 3, Jason Crone is going to be absent tonight. District 4, Dave Nafla.
Here.
District 5, Larry Gondringer.
Here.
At large, Rich Blankish.
Here.
At large, Tara Ostendorf.
Here.
And representing the county board, Joe Persky.
Here.
Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everybody. So we're going to start with agenda item number 1. Christine and Kurt Krebs, are you here?
Yes.
So please take your seats. Can you introduce yourself with your names and address?
Krebs, 16987 Jennifer Drive, Cold Spring, Minnesota, 56320.
Okay.
Christine Krebs, 16987 Jennifer Drive, Cold Spring, Minnesota, 56320.
Thank you. Welcome. Today we're going to consider a plat entitled After Hour Sheds consisting of 21 non-residential lots and 1 outlot in the Commercial C zoning district. The plat was submitted by Keys Properties LLC of Cold Spring, Minnesota, according to Stearns County Subdivision Ordinance number 230 and Land Use and Zoning Ordinance number 439. The 20-acre plat is part of the southwest corner in section 21, lying southeast of County Road 10 in Albany Township. So, members who visited the site. I did.
I did.
All right, hold on. I did. David Bentrude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I did.
Dave Nafla.
Yes.
Leroy.
I did.
Rich.
Yes.
Tara. I did not. And Joe.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Staff report.
Okay, so this is a 21 non-residential lot and 1 outlot plat. 19 of these lots will contain a 36 by 48 personal storage shed. 1 lot contains the existing former poultry barn mini storage structure. And then the outlot is the open space around all the lots and the roads. The applicant is proposing to do this as a phased development. So phase 1 would be lots 1 through 14, and that would be recorded right away. And then phase 2 would be lots 15 through 21. And part of the purpose of doing that phased in approach is phase 1 will be under 1 acre of new impervious surface. So the stormwater requirements won't come into play until he records phase 2. He has had a stormwater plan prepared, and we've reviewed that and approved it, so that's ready to go whenever he gets to phase 2 and gets that recorded. That plan has been approved already. so he can implement it at that point. There's no septic sites shown out here. There's not going to be water and sewer to these sheds. They're just personal storage sheds. There will be a parking apron, a 20 by 24 parking apron outside of each shed. Let's see, there are wetlands on the property, and those have been delineated. The structures meet the 25-foot setback to the wetland area. Property has access to County Road 10, so they'll use the existing access that's there. Let's see, consent to plat's going to be required to be recorded with the final plat from the mortgage company. Let's see, that it's not within any overlay districts or areas of concern. The township, Albany Township, did review and approve the preliminary plat already. The comprehensive plan of the county shows this as a transitional area on the future land use map. Plating committee reviewed and recommended on the plat with the following conditions. Number one, a subdivision agreement stating the following: construction site best management practice shall be required during construction. The development and operation of after-hours sheds shall be in accordance with the declaration with the plat of after-hours sheds. Any change to said declaration shall be reviewed and approved by Stearns County. The roads within the plat are private roads and shall be built and maintained by the association. The developer is hereby made aware that a national pollutant discharge elimination system construction stormwater permit shall be required if 1 acre or more of land is disturbed as a result of construction within the plat. No structures are allowed on Outlot A. No drinking water wells shall be installed or used within the plat. The 20-unit preliminary plat will be approved. The final plat is allowed to be recorded in phases. Each phase shall be recorded by the date following, the date below. Phase 1 by September 25th, 2026. Phase 2 by December 31st, 2035. Upon recording of Phase 2 of after-hours sheds, an approved stormwater management plan shall be implemented. Construction of the road and stormwater facility shall be responsibility of the developer and shall be in accordance with the plans. The long-term operation, maintenance, and cleanout schedule of the stormwater system shall be the responsibility of the association, and a financial guarantee in the amount of 125% of the cost to implement the stormwater management plan shall be submitted prior to final plat approval of Phase 2. Highway certificates required. An approved declaration is required. They do have one drafted already. Ingress, egress, utility easement shall be required in favor of lots 1 and 3 through 21, and this can be included as part of the declaration or as a separate easement document. Submit a draft final plat. The final plat will need to include the phases as outlots. The consent to plat is required for the mortgage out there. And submit the revised preliminary plat condition. That's already been met. That's been completed with the updated lot numbers. That's all that I have.
All right, thank you. Comments from the applicant? Anything additional to add to that, or?
No,
Okay.
covered it.
I will open it up for public comment. Do you want to provide any written testimony we have yet?
No written testimony was received.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the public? Comments from the public? Last chance, comments from the public. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Public hearing is closed. Comments from the commission? I did have one question. So on the subdivision agreement C, or 1C, and looks like H2, we have blanks on our report that
Yeah,
you filled in with association.
yes.
Can you provide clarity on how that wording was added?
Yeah, so originally, we weren't sure if the Krebs, if there was gonna be an association or not for this, and it has been decided that there will be, an association and a declaration and all of that. So that's why, when I originally drafted this, we didn't know if there was gonna be the association or not.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments from the committee?
Mr. Chair?
Joe?
See, I looked at, you got one already built up out there?
Yes.
That's fairly high. Yeah, are all of them gonna be that high, or do you plan to have some of them lower? I'm just curious, that kind of airspace, to have all that,
They're all,
They're all gonna be that size?
Exactly that size.
so they
yes.
can accommodate high vehicles?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Campers, RVs,
Right.
fish houses.
Okay.
Yep. They're all gonna have the 16-foot sidewalls,
Yeah.
so.
Other questions from the committee? Other questions? Well, we've closed the public hearing, so I'm going to reclose the public hearing. Further discussion? Hearing none, findings of fact. Is the proposal consistent with the subdivisions and zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, it is in compliance with zoning ordinance 439, section 9.10. And if you go down, you can see where storage facilities are one of the items that's listed for 9.10. And 9.10 deals with the concentration of commercial and recreational facilities.
Perfect, thanks, Rich. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? If so, please list applicable sections for or against.
Mr. Chair, I would say that it does. I'm looking at rural business policies, number 3, encourage rural business seeking expansion in ag areas located near major transportation corridors, town site, mixed-use areas, or transitional areas, which I believe this is. It seems consistent with what is developing along County Road 10 in that area.
Thank you, Dave. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, it is compatible with the neighboring businesses and buildings in the area.
Thank you. Has the applicant demonstrated that standards and criterion stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
Mr. Chair, based on the staff report and the information provided, I believe that they've satisfied all the criteria.
Thank you, Tara. And then any other issues pertinent to this matter as indicated on our screen?
Mr. Chair, the township had their hearing and approved this.
Thank you, Rich. Any others? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion on this issue before us.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve this
With the conditions?
with the conditions.
Motion's made. Second.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. This will go before the county board when? Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Wow, fast turnover.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right, our next motion on the agenda is Green Acres Sheds Plat Number 3. Do we have any cards, Shelley? If you have any cards, can you bring them forwards? Oh, no, 2, okay. All right, so the item we're going to be talking about today is to consider a plat entitled Green Acre Sheds Plat Number 3, consisting of 1 non-residential lot in the A40 zoning district. The plat was submitted by Ronning Living Trust of Cold Spring, Minnesota, according to Stearns County Subdivision Ordinance Number 230 and Land Use and Zoning Ordinance Number 439. The 2.14 acre plat is Outlot A of Green Acre Sheds, Plat 1 in Section 28, lying east of Hidden Cove Road, Collegeville Township. So, members who visited the site. I did. Dave Bentrid.
Yes, I did.
Dave Nafla.
Yes, I did.
Leroy.
Yes, I did.
Rich.
Yes, I did.
Tara.
No, but I'm familiar.
And Joe.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Staff report.
All right, so this is just a one-lot plat, non-residential lot again. Zoned agriculture 40, so because of the lot size and it being zoned agriculture 40, there's no residential building entitlement available on this. This is within shoreline of Big Fish Lake, which is a recreational development lake. Septic sites were not required to be shown. Again, there's not going to be sewer and water over here. There's adequate room on the lot to meet the setback requirements for an accessory structure or an accessory use. The intent here is to put up a solar array for the home across the road, for the landowner who owns the home across the road. We do have a wetland delineation from 2012, so that's still a valid delineation, and wetland setbacks will need to be met. Access is to Hidden Cove Road, which is a township road. This plat will not create an acre of new impervious surface, so stormwater management is not required. Park dedication fee is not required since this is not a residential lot. They'll need a certificate of trust and affidavit of trustee to be recorded with the plat. Soils on the property are highly erodible, so temporary and permanent erosion control will be needed during construction on the property. Collegeville Township did review and approve the preliminary plat in August. Previous plats out here, so just a quick background why this one lot plat is here. Typically, this would not go in front of the Planning Commission for a public hearing. However, the subdivision ordinance allows one minor plat per year for a certain piece of property. It has been less than a year since the last minor plat was submitted, so instead of waiting, they can go through the major plat process. So that's what they've chosen to do. So that's why you're seeing a one lot plat here. Comprehensive plan shows this as an agricultural and rural area. Proposed conditions from the plating committee. Number 1, a subdivision agreement that construction site best management practices shall be required during construction. Lot 1 shall not contain a residential dwelling unit. Accessory structures shall comply with section 6.2 of Land Use and Zoning Ordinance number 439. No more than 10,000 square feet of impervious surface is allowed on Lot 1 unless a stormwater management plan is implemented. A wetland determination shall be required prior to issuance of the construction site permit. 25-foot structure setback will apply to all wetlands within the plat. The wetland delineation that was done and approved is valid for 5 years. No drinking water well shall be installed or used within the plat. The property is in a high groundwater sensitivity area, therefore caution should be taken with any infiltration so the groundwater isn't compromised. Number 2, an affidavit of trustee is required pre-plat. A certificate of trust is required if one isn't already on file, and an affidavit of trustee is required post-plat. And that is it for conditions.
All right, thank you, Heidi. Applicant, name and address, please.
Sure thing. Hi, my name is Dan Ronning. My address is 9600 Morse Circle in Bloomington, Minnesota. I'm here on behalf of my parents who are out of the country at the moment, so filling in for them.
Okay, anything to add to the testimony?
No, nothing to add at this time, but again, just very thankful for you all hearing this request and willing to stand for any questions that you guys may have.
All right, thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Yes.
Mr. Chair, just for your information, John Ronning is online listening in, so just so that you're aware in case there are additional questions, but it should be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So open the public hearing. Heidi, do you have any written comments?
Nope.
Okay, any comments from the public?
Mr. Chair, I had no cards.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Last chance. Any comments from the public? All right. Commission members, questions from the commission for the applicant or staff?
Mr. Chair, I would just have a question. Heidi, maybe, and Shelley, you might be familiar with this. In that area, we struggled a little bit to get that plat completed and the parameters around that. Did the township have a list of conditions that they require for those properties?
They did not submit a list of conditions with this plat, with this one lot plat. They did not.
Okay, but do they have a set of conditions for these parcels? Did the township set aside some parameters for these sheds?
They did with the original multi-lot plat. They had requested conditions, but that plat was denied, and with the subsequent one-lot plats, they have not provided a list of conditions for those lots.
Okay. All right. I thought that when we went to even the one parcel per year, that those conditions still existed by the township. Not so? Okay.
No.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Tara.
just for clarification, so if I'm listening to all this correctly, normally we wouldn't even see this, but this is because there's been too many actions in 1 year time frame. But the applicant is suggesting, or is requesting it due to the fact that they can still get the rebate on the solar system for the energy tax rebates. And the only reason they're doing it now instead of waiting is because those rebates have gotten a earlier sunset date than before. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thanks.
Correct.
Heidi, a couple of questions. So on the building site discussion, it says the intent is to install solar panels.
Right.
Is that what will be done, or should they choose to do something different? Can they modify this without having to come back to us?
Yes, as long as they're not building a home, they can do anything, any accessory use would be allowed. So if they decide we're not going to build the panels, we're just going to put up a storage shed, that would be allowed without having to go through this process again.
Okay. And the second question is, so on condition H, it's the high groundwater sensitivity, so you have therefore caution should be taken. The SWCD provided comments saying that temporary and permanent erosion control is needed during the construction. Is there a conflict there between caution and needed? I'm wondering. Because it doesn't mention, I don't see anything, it talks about, does it talk about stormwater management and erosion control?
Well, we really only talk about the construction site best management practices and reference section 7.10, which is the erosion control section of the ordinance. That's in letter A. So that references the erosion control section.
Okay.
If that
Good enough.
satisfies that concern.
Thank you. Other questions from the commission? Other questions from the commission? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, I'd entertain a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing is closed. Any further discussion? Findings of fact. Is the proposal consistent with the subdivision and zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
It is. It's under ordinance 439, sections 9.10, and subdivision ordinance number 230, sections 5 and 8.
Thanks, Leroy. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? Please list applicable sections for or against.
Mr. Chair, I would say yes. I'm looking at clean energy policies, number 1, site solar energy systems in a way that reduces conflict with adjacent land use, including but not limited to avoiding areas that will impact future development potential for a municipality. and the fact that it sounds like it's being used to the benefit of local residents.
Thank you. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, I would say yes. It seems like it's a good parcel for this. It's somewhat hidden, and seems appropriate.
Perfect. How has the applicant demonstrated or will demonstrate that the standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
Mr. Chair, the applicant has submitted all the required information and provided additional detail on timing and the efforts already taken.
Any other issues pertinent to this matter as identified or to be identified on the screen? I guess the only thing is the need for this hearing because of the additional plats in the area. So that's why we're hearing this small plat. Any others? All right, working through the findings of fact, I would entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions that were attached with the staff report.
Thank you, Dave. Do we have a second for that?
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Thank you, Rich. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. This will be heard by the county board on Tuesday. Oh, okay.
In this case, when we get the final plat, then we will take it to board immediately with that.
Okay.
So we don't have a date until we get the Mylars.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3. Do we have any testimony cards for number 3 to speak?
I do not have anybody here for number 3? I have nothing for number 3.
Okay.
And Nick, you want to explain that the applicant isn't here and why?
Yes, the applicant isn't here, but they are on the call, so they are listening in. They are out of the country at the moment.
So they're listening. Can we hear them, or are they just going to listen?
Can you hear me from here?
All right,
Can.
we'll call you in a moment. Thank you. All right. So here we are to consider a conditional use permit request for an after-the-fact major shoreland alteration submitted by Carrie L. Johnson Revocable Trust, according to sections 10.2.14D and 10.2.14I of the Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance number 439. The request includes topographic alteration of retaining walls constructed on steep slopes in the shore impact zone of Murray Lake. The property is Lot 2, Block 1 of Murray Lake Park, Section 26 in Main Prairie Township. The address is 15479 State Highway 15 of Kimball, Minnesota. Folks who were there. Rich. Chase and I was there. Rich?
Yep.
Dave Nafla.
Yes.
Dave Bentrude.
Yes.
Leroy.
Yes.
Tara.
No.
Commissioner Persky.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? Okay. Staff report.
Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission, this is an after-the-fact request on a 4.7 acre parcel on Murray Lake. About 20% of the lot is impervious. In the project area, the slopes are 15 to 30%. There's a direct slope from the lake to the lake from the building setback all the way down. The soils are potentially highly erodible due to the slope. Much of the upland has good tree cover but shades the ground, which makes it difficult to maintain adequate lawn area that's existing. Good native vegetation is present along the shoreline outside of the lake access area and the project area. There's no mapped floodplain here. The septic is compliant. It's the R1 zoning district, and Murray Lake is a natural environment lake. This summer, the property owner got in touch with us to address the work that was done after the fact. The septic system compliance inspection was completed, the after-the-fact application was completed, and then we clarified a few things and brought it forth to you. The work was done by the property owner. It was not a separate contractor for this. Essentially, there's two separate retaining walls that were constructed on the steep slope areas within the impact zone. Any retaining walls within the impact zone on a steep slope require a conditional use permit. First wall is about 45 feet long and 3.5 feet high. The second wall is 17 feet long and about 1.4 foot in height. So some dirt work was done in addition to shape the areas around the walls and create the rock weeper area for stormwater flow that's captured between the two retaining walls for that water that comes down the slope. A couple notes here, just that runoff from the house and the slope where the lawn is kind of devoid of vegetation, it comes down the hill and that water is concentrated in this project area. The property owner noted this was an ongoing issue and done in response to that. The property owner spoke to the department about doing the project and doing the initial site visit. It was not a complaint submitted to us, it was the property owner that ultimately got in touch with us. And the project area is about 50 feet wide on this 200-foot lot. And the rest of the vegetation, like I mentioned, on the shoreline is very good and the shoreline is stable. We have two proposed conditions if approved. One would be to place a little bit larger rock riprap at the outlet of the rock weeper where the stormwater flow comes through to prevent scouring and displacement of smaller rock or sediment into the lake. And the second proposed condition would be that any sediment collected in this area cannot be deposited elsewhere within the impact zone, but would need to be removed from the shore impact zone. I did not receive any written correspondence for this, and that is all that I have.
All right, applicant introductions. We can hear you, so if you'd like to introduce yourself, name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Richard Johnson. My wife Carrie and I own the property at 15479 State Highway 15 in Kimball, Minnesota. And yeah.
Do you have anything to add to the staff report?
No, I think Nick was very accurate in his description of what we're trying to do. We're just trying to prevent stormwater runoff going down the hill and removing topsoil and running into the lake. It creates a large mess after a especially wet spring like we've had this year.
All right, thank you. Open the comment for a public hearing. Nick, do we have any written testimony?
We do not.
All right. Anything from the public? Anything from the public? Final call, anything from the public? Comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I've got Commissioner Persky here. I've got a question for the applicant. Looking at that area where you place the retaining wall and then that flat surfaced area, do you have any plans as far as developing that with a surface for patio or campfire?
No, we're just trying to contain that stormwater, give it a place for the water to disperse its energy coming down that hill, because right below the retaining wall, it would wash and we just couldn't maintain anything there. We've lost about 2 feet of material in that area. And it was designed for just to disperse that energy.
Okay. No, I'll just say that in the past we've had property owners on the lake tell us they're doing one thing and end up doing something else. I must say I was impressed though by the number of trees you left on that hillside and the integrity that those oaks provide to that hillside, and not taking them down just to have a viewing corridor. I can greatly appreciate that, as well as the number of trees you left on the shoreline. So nice job containing that, and continue to do so.
Thank you. This area that we're dealing with here, that was a natural area when we bought the place, and we've fought this for years, trying to get this to be stable so that it just continues to wash. We've lost 2 to 3 feet of dirt there over the last 2 years again.
Dave, did I hear you?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I did have a question for the applicant. Dave Bentrud, District 2. I guess my question is, do you have any opposition to the alternatives or options that were laid out by staff?
No, I do not.
Okay. And I guess I don't know if it's appropriate, but I would just suggest going with whatever provides the best protection against erosion and protects the body of water there, whatever way that is, whether it's yours, what you submitted, or what staff is recommending.
Again, what I'm trying to do is stop the erosion coming down the hill to this point, at least slow down the velocity of the water so we're not we're fighting a ravine down there. It just makes a mess out of the lake, and I think it's good for the lake. I think it's good for the homeowners on the lake.
And I guess I guess maybe the recommendation, I guess, if I can make that, is just to work with staff on the best solution to deal with what you're trying to deal with.
Absolutely. I think both Nick and Rob came out there and looked at it, and we talked about several different options. And we're looking at some type of terraces and vegetation down on that north side of the lot to stop this, try to disperse that energy.
Nick, did the Conservation District have a chance to provide input to this?
We did not. I did not reach out to them on this particular item.
Because I think, as folks mentioned, when I was walking back up the slope, I did notice there was some underlying fabric. So there's the whole slope. There's the lack of vegetation and stuff. As you indicated, I imagine when it rains, it's an interesting sight. So in addition to the county staff, you may want to reach out to the Conservation District. This is right in their wheelhouse. So other comments from the staff or the commission members? Other comments? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I'm sorry. I'll second the motion.
Leroy seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing's closed. Further discussion from the board members? Hearing none. Findings of fact. As this is a conditional use permit, they're a little bit different. Can the applicant sufficiently document that the alteration was done to protect water quality, improve aesthetics, control erosion, or enhance habitat? Please describe the reasons the applicant made the alteration and include documentation if available.
Mr. Chair, I would say yes, in working with staff to come up with a favorable solution. So I would say yes.
I would also reiterate, add to that, the staff provided photographs, and as you can see in those photographs, there already is sediment in there. So even with this retaining walls, there's still movement on there, so this will at least slow that. So thank you for that. Why did the applicant fail to obtain an alteration permit or comply with requirements before commencing work?
Mr. Chair, I don't believe that answer was provided.
All right, so I'm going to reopen public testimony for the applicant. So what was the reason that you did not apply for this permit?
It was an oversight on my part. I had two of my employees standing there, and I said, I was so frustrated with the recent rain we'd had and the erosion going down the hill. I says, we got to do something. And I said, let's go do it. And about the time I got started, I realized I should have went to St. Cloud and gotten the permit. And so it was an oversight, and I just acted before I thought about it.
Okay, public hearing is closed again. Tara, do you want to add?
I think the fact that the applicant came and self-reported, it can lead to some of the, leads credence to his testimony there.
Thank you. Did the applicant obtain all other required permits and comply with other requirements? Please identify any other required permits and whether the applicant obtained the permits. I believe, according to the staff report, there were no other required permits, right, Nick? Okay. Is the alteration in a sensitive area, shore or bluff impact zone, wetland buffer, county biological survey, or other documented high-value habitat? Identify and describe all sensitive areas.
Mr. Chair, it is in a sensitive area as it is within the shore impact zone of Murray Lake.
Thank you. Is the alteration visible from the lake or public water? Describe the degree to which the alteration is visible.
Mr. Chair, it is visible from the lake if you're out on a boat. You see the elevation of the retaining walls.
I'd like to add that, as Commissioner Percy described, they did leave the remainder of the site fairly intact. So they do have the small corridor, but overall they did a good job on leaving the rest of the site intact. Does the alteration affect the character of the neighborhood, or will it result in a substantial detriment to neighboring properties? Please describe substantial changes and detriments.
Mr. Chair, I don't believe that there's been any testimony or documentation that's going to result in substantial detriment.
Thank you, Tara. Did the alteration reduce or eliminate an existing buffer between the ordinary high water level, water and impervious surfaces, or create a more direct conduit for stormwater to flow into public waters? Please describe the answer.
Mr. Chair, I believe it does not, or it does reduce the stormwater or the flow of water going into the lake, as with the drain, it is slowing it down, and with the rock riprap from the drain out, it would slow it enough that it's not causing an issue with stormwater running into the lake that otherwise would without the retaining walls.
Thanks, Dave. Did the alteration reduce or eliminate an existing buffer between the, I already talked about that. Did the alteration change or damage any of the following categories? The aesthetics of the shore is viewed from the public water, character of the neighborhood or shoreline, vegetative buffer, erosion or sediment control devices or systems, stormwater management devices or systems, fish or wildlife habitat, or water quality.
Mr. Chair, I believe it added stormwater management systems.
And I believe there's potential for improving water quality by having sediment reduced and eliminating gully erosion. Could the applicant mitigate the damage or change without removing the alteration and restoring the site? Please explain how mitigation would occur and the results of the mitigation.
Mr. Chair, I believe the mitigation to restore the site would be, there won't necessarily be any mitigation. Restoring the site back to what it was would probably be a detriment.
Thank you, Tara. Would the minimum benefits to the county appear to be far outweighed by the detriment the applicant would suffer if forced to restore the alteration? Why or why not? And describe the minimum benefits and details of the detriment to the applicant. I think for the small size of the area and the potential damage that was being done beforehand, removing this would be probably a substantial cost and require substantial additional effort to restore the site, revegetate. So I don't think the county is going to get a benefit for the required investment on that. All right. Hearing the findings of fact, I will entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve. I don't recall if there were conditions.
Two conditions?
The two conditions that were listed.
Motion to approve the two conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second and a third. All in, Dave. Dave's the second and Tara's the third. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. This will go before the county board on the 21st, I believe. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate your understanding of the situation.
Yep. Thank you. All right, agenda item number 4. So I have a stack of speaker cards here. I'll work through these as they came to me. So we have 4 of them. And then if, as we're working through the motion, if you want to have more cards, there's plenty in the back. Feel free to fill them out, bring them to Shelley. We'll add them to the pile. So we're going to be talking about consider a conditional use permit application submitted by Todd and Sarah Thiessen. Are you here today? Todd, you want to take the applicant's seat? Of St. Joseph, Minnesota, according to sections 4.8, 6.51, and 9.3 of the Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance number 439, to construct and operate a rural tourism business, including an event center, outdoor music, and several lodging units. The request was tabled at the July 25th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting and is now being brought back for consideration. The proposed project is located in the part of southwest corner of section 30 of St. Joseph Township. The address is 13127 County Road 160 of St. Joseph, Minnesota. Shelley, as the chair, I'm going to remove this from the table.
Can we get a motion to remove?
Sure. I would entertain a motion to remove this from the table.
I'll make a motion to remove this item from the table.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Tara seconds. All in favor, aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion has been removed from the table. So members who visited the site. Tara.
I believe the first time.
Dave Bentrude.
Yes.
Leroy.
Yes.
Jason, yes, the first time. Dave Nafla.
No.
Rich.
Yes.
And Joe.
Yes.
All right. Staff report.
All right, so this request, like you said, it was tabled last summer, July of 2024, and now for several reasons, more information was needed, and now the Tysons have provided that information, so we're back here. So what they're proposing is the Hub multi-purpose building called the Hub. Some outdoor music, some tiny home lots, a couple of small cabins, one accessible lodging unit in the Hub, and then also some self-contained RV units, depending on the events that they're having, up to 4 potentially parked in the parking lot, that kind of thing. So the reasons it was tabled was to get information regarding how potential trespassing will be prevented, looking at the stormwater, explain how changes to the character of the neighborhood will be minimized, noise, number of events per year, what's considered an event, traffic plan, the business plan and timeline associated with each part of the plan, considering not allowing outdoor music and working with St. Joe Township on developing a plan that they're also comfortable with. So in your packets, there is a spreadsheet of response that we received from the Tysons, along with the response from St. Joe Township and from Environmental Services regarding those issues. So that's laid out in the packet. I'll probably just jump to the proposed conditions then. So the proposed conditions, number 1, all applicable licenses from Stearns County shall be issued prior to renting any lodging units or units in the tiny village. This will include plumbing review by the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. Any new sign shall meet the sign standards of section 7.25 of Ordinance 439. A sewage treatment system permit shall be obtained along with construction site permit for the Hub and relocating any cabins. Lighting on the property shall be directed to stay on the property. Parking areas shall be installed and made available per the approved plans. The state accessibility code is required to be met A certificate of occupancy shall be submitted once it's issued by a licensed building official. Number 7, days and hours of operation. So this is broken down to multiple different things. So A is the hub. Days and hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days per week. B, for the hub, up to 10 special events allowed per year, no more than 2 events in a single month. Hours of special events are 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. During special events, outdoor music is allowed 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Lodging. Lodging guests are allowed on the property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Quiet hours for lodging guests shall be 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., 7 days a week. Then number 8, outdoor music. Outdoor music is only allowed on the property provided the noise levels comply with Minnesota Rules Chapter 7030, MPCA State Noise Standard. Noise levels exceeding Minnesota Rules Chapter 7030 are considered a violation of Minnesota Rules Chapter 7030, County Ordinance, and the CUP. When outdoor music is occurring on the property, the permittee shall guarantee the state noise standard in Minnesota Rules Chapter 7030 is met at the property line. To ensure this is met, the following are required. Sound level monitoring must be performed when there is outdoor music according to the measurement procedures in the Guide to Noise Control in Minnesota. The sound level meter and microphone shall meet Section 3 of the guide. The testing procedure shall meet Section 3 of the guide. Sound level reports for the applicable noise area classification as found in Minnesota Rule 7030 shall be generated in real time as described by the MPCA. Reports shall be kept for a minimum of 1 year. All generated sound reports shall be provided to the county and township upon request. The proposed plan will result in 40,298 square feet of new impervious surfaces. New impervious surface shall not exceed 1 acre unless a stormwater management plan is first reviewed and approved. A wetland determination shall be required prior to issuance of a construction site permit. And 4 self-contained RV units may be allowed occasionally in the parking lot, provided enough parking spaces are still available for that specific event. And that's it for the staff report.
Thanks, Heidi. So applicants, introduction and address.
It's on. Yeah, you're good. Sarah Tyson. I just kind of put my thoughts on my address, 13127 County Road 160, St. Joseph.
Thank you. And
Todd Tyson, same address, 13127 County Road 160, St. Joseph.
All right, additions.
I just put together some thoughts that I had, just kind of putting this together as an overview. We're requesting that you approve our application for a conditional use permit. Requiring conditional use permit is no small affair. It requires a serious investment of finances, time, and emotional stamina. We've invested tens of thousands of dollars to get to this point. We have worked with many professionals along this journey, from the Small Business Development Center, architects, Stearns County Environmental Services, and other county departments, St. Joseph Township, septic professionals, plumbers, electrical contractors, excavators, bankers, and so on. Our dream for this venue is multifaceted. We hope to share this space with people looking for a rural place to gather for church retreats, wellness workshops, crafting, woodworking education, family gatherings, performances by local artists, educational workshops, small weddings, etc. It can offer opportunities for people of all ages. We have worked many hours with the county and township in determining size, occupancy, plumbing and septic codes, structural codes, and much more. Stearns County's 2040 comprehensive plan supports agricultural diversification, rural economic development, and local tourism growth. Our application supports each of these goals. We know there are neighbors who have voiced concerns about a proposed venue. These are valid concerns and they deserve thoughtful consideration. We care for our land in a very environmentally friendly manner. We do not use herbicides or other chemicals which would cause damage to the land and the creek that runs through our property. We encourage wildlife and natural plants on our property. This shows our commitment to bettering our land and our neighborhood, making it a better place for all. Many area farmers spray pesticides and chemicals on their field, which run off into the creek and neighboring properties. Some of the voiced fears will also be that there will be drunkenness, disorderly conduct, trespassing, and crime. We wonder why this is where people's thoughts go. How many of you have been to a family reunion, a wedding, a church retreat, or yoga retreat? Are these events regularly leading to misconduct, trespassing, property damage, and violence? We desire to have good relations with each and every one of our neighbors and feel that this is an exciting opportunity for us to work together to better our neighborhood and share our beautiful area with others. We feel we have approached this project and with a plan that addresses these issues. Our application was tabled at the Planning Commission meeting last year to allow further explanation of some of these issues to be addressed. These questions have been discussed with the county and the township. We, along with these entities, have answered these questions and explained how each of these concerns will be addressed. By working together, we can ensure that this venue will serve the purposes we have voiced while preserving the rural character that we have.
Thank you. Anything to add to that? Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing. Heidi, written testimony.
Yes, I do have a few letters here that I will read in their entirety. First one, Dear Stearns County Planning Commission, as a resident of the neighborhood directly affected by the proposed rural tourism business, I am writing to express strong opposition to the CUP applications submitted by Todd and Sarah Tyson. This proposal threatens the tranquility, safety, and character of our residential community, both now and in the future. There are 18 residential homes in close proximity to the proposed development. The applicants have not presented a business plan that adequately protects these homes or addresses the long-term consequences of their project. The neighborhood does not support this proposal in its current form, nor would we support it 10 years from now. We want this area to remain peaceful, natural, and residential. The proposed 5-wire electric fence is not a sufficient deterrent to trespassing. Residents have already heard suggestions from the applicant about expanding walking trails onto their property for others to enjoy. This directly contradicts the idea of maintaining boundaries and privacy. It invites increased foot traffic and raises serious concerns about enforcement and safety. The stormwater management plan is incomplete and misleading. It does not account for the one additional driveway shown in the plans, which would push the impervious surface over the 1-acre threshold. This property drains to the South Fork Creek, a threatened water body. Without proper retreatment of stormwater, this development poses a risk to the local ecosystem and violates the community's commitment to environmental stewardship. The proposed event center is said to be limited to 100 people, yet the plan includes 110 parking spaces. This discrepancy suggests that larger events may be anticipated. Despite assurances to the contrary, it raises questions about the true scale of the operation and undermines trust in the state limitations. Outdoor events and music should not be permitted under any circumstances. The only way to ensure compliance with noise ordinances is to prohibit outdoor gatherings entirely. The township has already dealt with similar issues where outdoor music disrupted the peace and led to community complaints. We do not want to repeat that experience. Traffic is another major concern. The property is located near a curve on County Road 160 where sight distance is limited. Increased traffic from events and lodging will create safety hazards for residents and visitors alike. What specific measures are being proposed to address this? None have been clearly communicated. The business plan lacks transparency and stability. It is unclear which portions of the project will be built immediately and which are planned for the future. How will the facility accommodate 100 indoor guests? Is funding secured for this development? These questions remain unanswered, and a lack of clarity is unacceptable. In addition, the application continues to cite ownership of 88 acres. This is no longer accurate. The Tysons have sold off Tract B as documented in the submitted materials. This sale significantly alters the scope and feasibility of the original proposal. A business plan built on the assumption of 88 acres cannot remain valid when a substantial portion of the land has been sold just 1 year into the process. This change raises serious concerns about zoning compliance, infrastructure planning, and financial viability. If the developers are already changing course from their original plan, there is no assurance that future changes will not further compromise community values or safety. The applicants already operate 2 businesses. Expanding to a third, especially one of this scale, will disrupt the natural beauty and quiet enjoyment that residents have valued for generations. This proposal risks lowering property values, increasing taxes, and diminishing the quality of life for everyone in the area. In conclusion, the neighborhood does not support this proposal. We ask the Planning Commission to deny the CUP and preserve the tranquility, safety, and integrity of our community. This project does not meet the standards our residents expect and deserve, and it lacks a stable, transparent business plan capable of addressing the concerns raised by those who live here. Respectfully, Dave and Mary Tyson. Next, it is increasing more difficult to get away from noise and the rat race of development. I recently moved from St. Cloud, Sauk Rapids to find a more peaceful place to live and a better quality of life. I had lived by a similar business, and I know full well how businesses such as those tend to blossom over time. The Tysons wish to have outdoor music, and I know very well how that music travels. We've heard that music from their parties already. I was told Collegeville was a good place as they have more regulations to size and quality of the area. Property values are higher here. I was hoping to live my life in peace and not see my area turn into the same old development from which I came. I know my neighbors are just as upset as we are, and for one neighbor to gain what they desire only to ruin it for the rest of us makes no sense to me. Mr. Tyson at another meeting claimed to care about nature and animals. How is his rather hefty plans going to affect that? We have such a beautiful area with much wildlife. Do these plans include alcohol? We walk our roads and clean them, for which we sadly already see many, many discarded beer cans. Development and money always seems to override what feels like the world planet needs most: peace and space to thrive. John and Becky Storkamp. Next one. I'm writing with concerns to outdoor music on the Tyson property. We in the neighborhood of Milk and Honey Ciders have been abused with uncontrollable noise almost every weekend of the summer. Our peace and quiet of our rural community has been destroyed. We've asked the county to correct these problems for years with no results. Please do not allow this to happen to the residents in that area. I urge the county commissioners and planning commission to resolve the abuse we have had to put up with. Sincerely, Mike Pfluger. And the last one, I did confirm that he wanted this read for this particular item. But it says, I am writing in regards to no resolutions in the problems we have been having with Milk and Honey, St. Joe, Minnesota. This has been going on for years with no help from the county and county attorneys. There has been numerous violations of the CUP over the years with no repercussions for Milk and Honey. It's time to get this settled with a new CUP that is enforced. It seems like the county attorneys and environmental services are working only for Milk and Honey and not the residents. I would like to have this read at tonight's public hearing. Thank you, Ronald Philippi. And that's it for written comments.
All right, thank you, Heidi. So I have a list of cards. I will call your name on the cards as they're presented to me. State your name and address at the podium and then speak to me. Please direct your comments to the conditional use permit at hand. Some of the written comments were regarding the Milk and Honey area. We're not talking about that. That's not the focus of the CUP, so if we can avoid that discussion, that would be great. So let's start with Dave and Mary Tyson. And as they're coming up for the applicant, you can respond to what you hear after they're presented.
Dave Tyson, 12926 270th Street, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Just had a few, and this is my wife, Mary, same address. As you heard, our letter pretty much stated our concerns. The biggest thing that we're really concerned about is the creek being contaminated with things, runoff, whatever. The other thing is access to the property. In the past, he's had fire issues, and the EMS or the emergency vehicles had a tough time getting up there, getting across that creek and doing what they need to do with the large vehicles that they have. And it definitely would need some upgrade to that creek to get in where they need to go if this was to proceed. So, other than that, I don't have a whole lot. As you heard, the property now has been downsized from what original plan was. That, I don't know, I would assume that plays a part on your decision. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Question possible?
Let's just wait till we wrap things up here, okay? Oh.
Hear the question of the,
Oh,
Could you clarify the fire issue?
A building burnt down on his property several years ago, and naturally it was during the winter time, but it was approximately where this center is going to be, or could be, and they had extreme trouble getting to the fire with the apparatus.
But it's just, as far as you know, just a one-time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Alex and Nicole Stell. Please state your name and address and direct your comments to me.
Nicole Style, address is 13096 270th Street, St. Cloud.
Hi, I'm Alex Style. Address is 13096 270th Street, St. Cloud.
Alex and I are giving testimony today on behalf of our family and us together. We live and own the property directly south of Todd and Sarah Tyson's proposed wedding, music, and lodging building site. We would argue that we are one of the most negatively affected neighboring properties, as our property is only about 600 feet from the 6 tiny home lots. We do not support the proposed event center and strongly advise this planning commission to deny conditional use permit application. Todd and Sarah have an attached letter in their application, page 5, that speaks about this proposal being their dream. We can appreciate how they treat their land with pride and have sustainable farming practices, as I myself have grew up with a farming family. This event center, however, is now ruining the dreams of every single neighboring property. It has always been our dream to work very hard and find a piece of land in the country with some acreage where we could work to raise a family. We were blessed enough to purchase our current piece of property and build our forever home. This property also fulfills Alex's dream of having a wooded piece of land to be able to deer hunt in the backyard. This event center will disrupt our dream of raising our family in a peaceful rural location. It will also completely change the deer and wildlife movement in a negative way in this area by having loud events potentially every weekend. Is it right that the Tyson's dream is impacting 18 property owners' dreams?
Also in the Tyson's letter, they call this proposal an agritourism and speak about having sustainable farming, woodworking crafts, health, wellness classes, as well as weddings and music events. But let's be real. I mean, this is an event building. They're gonna be hosting weddings and music events. I don't know if we can scroll on the screen to the elevations outside of the building. I mean, in our opinion, I mean, do you need a building that size to be able to hold sustainable farming classes? And then also, can we go to like the floor plans? So if you zoom in there's not a single room on these plans that is called out as a classroom. I see venue, I see a prep kitchen, everything that it has to do with a wedding event center. I believe that that they want to have weddings to be able to sustain, or, you know, to be able to fund like their dream of holding agricultural classes, but I don't think that's the sole purpose of this building. And this is not an agricultural business and does not belong in zone A40. Yeah, and then also, I know it's been brought up, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if Mr. Chair, if you can comment, or if you're gonna comment later on, you know, the fact that it was 88 acres and now the property is downsized by half.
We can clarify that later.
Okay. And then, yeah, I was just gonna kind of go through those, you know, those 10 items that were from the last meeting that were tabled that you wanted, Mr. Chair, you wanted them to come back with. And the first one was like, how will potential trespassing be prevented? A 5-wire electric fence is not a security plan. And an individual can easily pass under the bottom of the wire. They need to have staff that are awake and present during the overnight hours. If they want to have lodging, they also need to have signage and blockades on trails, stopping people from wandering to all parts of their property, and potentially trespassing on neighboring properties. And then also bringing up the stormwater issue that was brought up in the past. Stearns County recommended action part of the staff report of the plan is 40,298 square feet of new impervious surface. Does this, and this would be another question maybe for you guys to clarify, does this include all of the parking lot, the hub building, the 2 lodging buildings, the 6 tiny homes, as well as the new gravel area? Because just roughly when you look at their site plan and you look at the scale, roughly, I looked at it, it was closer to 300 feet by 300 feet, and I think that would qualify for a stormwater plan. And then item 3 was explain how changes to the character of the neighborhood will be minimized, limited to 6 outdoor music events. However, indoor gatherings don't count as an event, and they can have up to 100 people sitting inside with 6 large garage doors per their plan that open. And then outdoor lighting is to be downward facing, but the location of this hub, parking lot and driveway where the light is being proposed as a higher elevation than all the surrounding property, so there will be light pollution in the area, even if they have hoods. Item 4 that you wanted to come back with was noise. And then the township states an event is defined as amplified music or music of sounds originating from an outdoor location or structure not fully enclosed that generates noise extending beyond the property boundaries of the premises of which it is held. In my mind, the indoor events that have no restrictions on the number they can host in a year occurring in a not fully enclosed structure because of the 6 overhead doors. With 100 people inside, sound will travel 600 feet to our property line. Number of events per year, currently they are limited to 6 outdoor events. And this would be another thing maybe you guys can comment on. What is the process of them trying to increase these in the future? Is this something, again, the township approves? I know the township operates differently than the county, so they don't have to necessarily notify like we are all notified for this meeting, you know, any neighboring properties. And then on item 6, what is considered an event? They never really specified if indoor events that do not count in the limit of the six outdoor events will be the weddings and parties, or what they all consider, what are they gonna have for events. Traffic plan, yeah, like it was previously stated, the driveway coming out on the S-curve of a busy County Road 160 with large amounts of people entering and leaving at once. Is driveway and culverts suitable for the increased amount of travel. And then item 8, better explanation of the business plan and timeline associated with each part of the plan. Tysons need to have a better timeline than saying the project will be phased in over the next 10 years. Why does lodging and the cottage need to be completed before the main hub building? If they don't have a hub building, why do they need to have people staying there? As neighbors, we need to know and be involved when it comes to the building permit phase and a timeline at each area, because I think we need to be involved in that process as well. And then the item 9, consider not allowing outdoor music. Basically, they're not willing to consider this. Item 10, work with St. Joe Township on developing a plan they are comfortable with. I am very disappointed with how St. Joe Township handled this. They attached a letter basically giving their approval. They hosted meetings on the subject without notifying any neighbors or anyone on the township. So I think you need to take that letter with a grain of salt, that does not represent the township. That represents the 3 individuals who signed the letter from the township. And then items on the staff report, under the performance standard, item L, it talks about the grounds and structures shall be maintained in a clear and safe manner. It'd be nice maybe if you guys can comment when you guys went out for your site visit, do you see their property currently doing this? Or is there a lot of improvement that needs to be handled? And then consistency with the comprehensive plan from the county. This zone is an agricultural rural area, and by adding this event center, you are creating a spot change in this area. The area is surrounded by rural homes and farms. The comprehensive plan from the county states that it supports rural business in agriculture areas that do not create a negative impact on adjacent property owners. From our testimony and everybody else you'll hear today, you can see this is not true of this proposed plan. This event center belongs on the edge of town versus in the current proposed site location. An additional negative impact is how this will lower the neighbor's property value. So in conclusion, this conditional land use permit should be denied for the following reasons. This is not an agritourism business. It is a wedding and event center and lodging. This type of business does not belong in A40 and does not fit in the surrounding area. This would be a huge spot change to the area, as nothing like this is nearby. The county's comprehensive plan states it only supports rural business that do not negatively impact the adjacent property owners. So I think that's a huge factor right there. But in the end, I mean, I think if this is going to go through, an option that I would like everyone to consider would be eliminating all the lodging. This would include the 6 RV or tiny home lots, 2 cabins, and 1 accessible unit in the hub for occasional self-contained and the occasional self-contained RV units in the parking lot. There is no other wedding venue or event center in the area that allows overnight lodging. I mean, there's 3 other places in the St. Joe area that host weddings, and none of them have overnight lodging. This would eliminate the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operating hours, and they would be limited to 6 events that go to midnight, and the remaining indoor events would be concluded by 10 p.m. Also, I think if the Tysons ever want to increase the number of outdoor events from 6, they should have to have a meeting where the neighboring properties get notified and can have input on this decision. Yeah, we just want to thank you, everyone, for giving us the opportunity to come and speak today.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Jerome and Donna Carls. Thank you.
Donna Carls, 12113 260th Street, St. Cloud, Minnesota. And
Jerome Carls, 12113 260th Street.
We have 40 acres on the west of Todd's property, so we're right next door. We don't live there, but we own that property as an agricultural because years ago they had horses, and that's where we got the hay for the horses, to feed the horses. That's how we got that. Sorry. I don't think the neighbors should have to put up with this racket and noise. Out there, sound travels a long way. You can hear the train coming through sometimes years ago. I mean, it's not right. These people don't deserve to live through that. They built their homes out there. They don't deserve that. And what I'm concerned about is the Watab River. I like my nature things. We're supposed to have butterflies, monarch butterflies in our ditches now on 160 from County Road 2 up to Christmas Tree Road. That means they can't spray. But Todd, how are you going to control the mosquitoes that are going to bite?
You can bring the questions to me.
How can he control the mosquitoes? What is he going to spray them with? You know, it's not the farmers that are ruining the land. Not all the time. We never sprayed our land. I don't know. And I'm concerned about the drug problem too.
Like my wife said, I own 40 acres just west of Todd Tyson. Okay. When he moved there, he wanted to buy my 40. He was going to build an airstrip in there and fly airplanes out of my 40 acres. Build an airstrip, there's 300 feet of wetland, and I wouldn't sell it. And he had a couple other things, you know. And just before I heard him talking, how good a neighbor he is. Well, I'll tell you what, from experience, if somebody bought the place from, put stones in the culvert, I measured the water in my meadow 23 inches. I told him, tried to get him out of there, and he said he wouldn't get him out unless I sand.
He had a beaver.
No.
He had a beaver on his property, but he wouldn't take the beaver out, so it flooded our land.
And the
so
rocks,
we lost our hay.
the rocks were in there when he bought the place, and he said, the guy that had it said he had to leave the rocks in front of the culvert because Mr. Carls, that's me, I'm sending all the water down to Wadup Creek. And he wouldn't take them out unless I signed papers holding me responsible for his driveway. Now, anybody in this room can explain to me how I can be sending water down to Wadup Creek? It's all my fault?
It's a river.
Or river, or maybe I'm doing it to the Mississippi too in the springtime when it's.
Yeah, it flows to the Mississippi.
No, and you're supposed to be a good neighbor. Give me a break. And then he talks about this, not farmers using weed spray and stuff there, so they're so good, you know, we're polluting everything. The farmer has a field, he quit spraying it. A couple of years, he can go organic. What's gonna happen to that hill up there where they start bulldozing up in there, building that event center? What happens now, a couple of years if it don't work out? Is he gonna have to put it back to where it is? I don't think so. And my dad said you got a cow gets ahead through the fence, the rest usually follows.
Trespassing.
You know,
That's what worries
and
us.
how that little building they showed there, that's gonna be cheap. You know, and they got plenty of places to party. Turn on TV, see all the crime and stuff that's going on. And the people now, they say they ain't got enough money to buy food for their kids, so they got the schools doing it. Isn't that about right? And now on the event center, it ain't gonna be cheap when they come in there. And the crime rate, I'll explain to you. You don't believe about the crime. I'm gonna ask everybody in this room a question. What's the first thing you did when you got out of your car? Right here. Lock the door. Maybe that ain't good enough. Probably the event center will bring people from the cities with their crowbars over, break the windows out too. Turn on TV and listen to the news. The more people come into an area, said, well, you double the population, the crime rate ain't gonna double at times. And his driveway, why does he have these two great big cement pillars on each side of his driveway with a steel gate across it? If you're gonna have an event center, he's gonna have to leave that wide open, not? Nobody else has. Do you have, anybody in this room has two big cement pillars about 30 inches this high with two steel gates across the driveway? No.
He hasn't been a nice neighbor to us. I think you can figure that out.
My one, my,
And I hope that you do something, because these other people, they've lived there a lot of years. Some are just brand new. They don't deserve that. They don't deserve the racket or the stuff that can happen.
no, I
later
think,
on.
you have these, meetings like we have tonight. You guys should have some responsibility to take a little respect for the people that have been living there all these years.
Ask
Not to have
yourself-
somebody just come in and all of a sudden try to change the whole work over. And the
Ask
thing with-
yourselves, would you want that next to your home?
Well,
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. Mark Muller. Mark? Again, name and address and comments to me.
Mark Muller, 12940 County Road 160. So, when I come to these meetings, hopefully not all that often, but I do appreciate the job you guys do, because it makes a difference. But what I look at, you come to meetings and do people bring fact or do they bring opinion? Do they bring, what the statutes are? Do they bring what the ordinances are? And I think there's a lot of rules that are already out there, right? So if somebody's gonna do something of this nature and they're within guidelines of those statutes, those ordinances, then we've already decided that they can do it. I'm a neighbor. I've known Todd for 30 years, known Sarah for probably 5. I don't have any issues there. I'm the one that bought the 40 acres from Todd. I'm his neighbor. I own the north side of his property and the west side of his property. I actually leased the 40 back to Todd, so if you need clarification on what's become of the 40, it's still being used by Todd. So just to clear that up. The noise, it's fact. If we're following state statutes and the county ordinances, kind of have an answer already, right? I mean, so if those things are being followed, and you're limiting to 10 events, and the time is, 10 in the morning till 10 at night. I've told Todd myself, I don't like people picking my music for me. But I also told him if it's a controlled atmosphere, I understand that too. I do believe that the things that they're trying to do there are for the good of the community. I do believe that the people that would be at this premise or this event center, I don't see it as a party. Todd and Sarah aren't partiers. Their family isn't partiers. It's not what they do. So I look at, if you're teaching woodcraft and you're teaching welding and you're doing different things and giving people opportunities, that's a positive thing that you don't see anymore. Where are you going to put it? You got to put it someplace, right? So I think if things follow state statutes, follow the ordinances, and those things happen, I think that's how this vote should be taken. I'm not suggesting, I guess you guys know the statutes better than I do by far. The creek, I am not sure, I live along there too, and I guess, is there data on that whether it's polluted or not? I guess you gotta go by the data, right? So if those things are resolved, I guess you go with what state statutes and ordinances that are already, the laws and restrictions of the people are already in place, you follow them. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Dean Scherer. Name and address and comments to me, please.
Yeah, I'm Dean Scherer, most of you know me. Those that don't know, we're gonna remember. 13414 County Road 160. My wife Carol.
Same address, 13414 County Road 160.
Oh, I hit you, push that.
Anyway, I live closer to Todd and Sarah than pretty much anybody. According to my rangefinder, I'm about 900 yards. So therefore, I'd be mostly affected by the sound. There's no woods. I actually live there. I don't live 10 miles away and only own property because that's just dirt. These two people and their family want to build something, I think, that is good for the community, as Mark mentioned. And I hear a lot of hate speak. And in this day and age, there's just too much of that. And we're all neighbors. And I'm kind of ashamed of some of my neighbors. These two want to build something, and they're not taking anything from anybody else. Opinions are one thing and emotions are another, but the rules and regulations are what they are. And I'm not going to hide behind the Stearns County Sheriff if I think the music is too loud. I'm going to go to my neighbor and have a little conversation with them. And I think if more people did that, this whole meeting would go a lot smoother. So evidently I am for them. I support this decision. Let you guys do what you do best. You do a really good job. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Jim Nathan? And as Jim's coming up, if anyone would like to provide additional comments, we do have cards on the back. So this is our last formal.
My name is Jim Nathan. I live on County Road 51, St. Joe. I just thought I'd stop in and mention a few things that you guys are considering ordinance in the township. And I think that's good. You're looking at it. At least somebody's looking at it so we know what's going on, because some of that stuff gets too carried away, and especially some of that music. I only live about 3/4 of a mile away from Milk and Honey, and sometimes it sounds like somebody's getting murdered the way the screaming is. I mean, if they want to have music, fine, but not that loud. And then I never get a notice of anything because I live a 1/4 mile from them, but my driveway goes back a 1/2 mile. So all the noise comes up from the north side where there's a road. So the music comes straight back all the way up to my place.
So just for is this the Milk and Honey you're talking about?
Yeah.
So if we can just focus on the permit at hand here, that's a different topic.
Okay. Well, it's basically the same because you're going to allow these guys here to build this big building. And I just kind of wondered, you put like Milk and Honey and now you got this place. Is there enough revenue that they can make it, on something like this? Because it keeps, now this is only a couple now. How many more is going to be coming up, So that's the only thing I was just curious about was, how big are you going to get with this? Is it going to keep snowballing, So that's what I want. But at least I'm hoping that you're going to think about the noise levels of any of them.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doug Frederickson. Name and address, please.
Doug Frederickson. I'm supervisor for St. Joe Township,
Address 26545 Jade Road, St. Cloud. And all my remarks are written down, so forgive me, I'll be just looking down primarily, just reading off what I've got. Hopefully it'll be expedient, because they are extensive. Shelley, I would ask if, I'll be getting into conditions 7 and 8 in detail, so it might be easier for people to be able to follow along. The Board of Supervisors for St. Joe Township appreciates the opportunity to provide input into the draft and review process for the Tyson CUP. As I mentioned in my remarks a year ago, we are familiar with Todd and Sarah. They have openly come to our meetings, shared their dreams and goals for the farm property. Many members of our board have attended their informational site visits. During those site visits as well, township meetings, they have explained many environmentally family-friendly practices they hope to demonstrate at their proposed facility. The general theme of sustainability and nature experiences to a small group of guests is admirable. It was the operational realities of event center type services that they will offer that caused our board to demand more detailed stipulations in this CUP language last year. As we indicated, this board can support Todd and Sarah Tyson's CUP application to operate as described in the general terms to the St. Joseph Board. And that is not one of an event center, is not first in their goal. Our support was conditional, based on language being created to stipulate outdoor music allowances, restrictions, and verifiable means of the MPCA rules being followed. Since that time, your committee, working with Environmental Services, has developed and issued improved noise requirement language that is heavily reliant on the MPCA rules and guide. We certainly appreciate the work performed in that direction. Environmental Services recently requested specific conditions from the township for the Tyson CUP. We provided that letter you see in your agenda packages. Citing from a motion passed at one of our regular meetings, we provided clarity for the number of days outdoor music could be allowed and set a limit on the hours outdoor music could be played. I want to take your attention to your agenda package, condition number 7, days and hours of operation. Subparagraph A, at the hub, days and hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. Subparagraph B, at the hub, up to 10 special events allowed per year, no more than 2 events in a single month. Hours for special events are 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. During special events, outdoor music is allowed from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then C, lodging guests are allowed on a property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Language appears to be clear to the layperson like yourself and to our board, but it's not. Condition 7 must be modified. It lacks any limiting language for outdoor music during non-special events. As written, condition B has no uniqueness. If outdoor music can be played as part of normal business hours, you don't need special event language. The words to this effect are required. Outdoor music will not be considered as normal business. The absence of words like this in the previous music event CUP language was interpreted by the county and the county attorney's office to allow music to be performed during regular business hours. You know what that means, right? Regular business hours. Music can be played 7 days a week. What was B for? When you can already play it 7 days a week. You sure don't need special permission for 10, 12. All right. It completely overriding the other language in the CUP that intended restrictions. We cannot allow this to keep happening. We insist you add, outdoor music will not be considered as normal business. Condition number 8. The township aligns completely with Stearns County's latest written music directives and states. I want to read it, but we agree with it. Outdoor music is only allowed on the property provided all noise levels comply with Minnesota Rules Chapter 7030 MPCA State Noise Standard. Noise levels exceeding the Minnesota Rules Chapter 7030 are considered a violation of the rules, county ordinance, and the CUP. Notice that an operator exceeding noise limits will be treated as a violation of the CUP. This is good, and it's necessary. Next one, township aligns significantly with Stearns County's latest written music directives in 8B, except in 2 important areas. This is what's in there. When the outdoor music is occurring on the property, the permittee shall guarantee the state noise standards, Rule 7030, is met at the property line. To ensure it's met, the following are required. And these are good things that are required. Sound level and monitoring must be done originating from outdoor location and structure, not fully enclosed, meaning the garage doors have to be closed. If the garage doors are open, it's an outdoor event. That's simply what that should be meant to be, and that's a good thing. Monitoring shall be according to the measurement procedures and the guide. There is an extensive guide out there, and it is referred to here, the Guide to Noise Control in Minnesota, here and referred to as the guide. It's a good thing. B and C, good things. Sound level, I'll be getting to my point here. Sound level reports for applicable noise area classifications are found, and the recording shall be generated in real time. Keep that in mind. That's an important requirement. And it's described by the MPCA. Reports shall be kept for a minimum of 1 year. All generated sound reports shall be provided to the township and as requested. Here's our areas of improvement. We want to suggest that the requirements listed in 8B are as important as those mentioned in 8A. Looking at that last line, to ensure this is met, we believe following is required. Or what? See, there's no or what in there. They're telling them, here's what you got to do. Or what? And that's the problem. Notice that the failure to comply with 8BA through D are not stated to be a violation of the Minnesota Rule 7030 or the county ordinance or the CUP as it is in the earlier condition. That's pretty clear. You don't do this, you violate it, and it's a violation in your CUP. The items in B are just as important in A. This equates to, if you do the sound monitoring as required, and it goes above the allowed levels, you're in violation of your CUP. If you simply refuse to do the sound measurements, you are not in violation of the CUP. We recommend you insert the language indicating a failure to perform the required sound monitoring will also be considered a violation of the CUP. Second area of improvement. All sound reports shall be provided to the county and a township upon request. Let's consider what is lost by the L10 and the L50 sound data reports not being immediately submitted to the township. Complaints that go unanswered for days, weeks, and months, and we have firsthand experience of that, prevent business owners from potentially exonerating themselves or an examination of what went wrong. Either way, the energy behind the complaint only grows with time, and it's hard to be diffused once that's gotten away from us. The business owner has already performed, according to the regulations, they've performed 99% of the effort and gets no good, this is the business owner now, he gets no goodwill credit from their neighbors if they delay sharing. In rare instances, it may be important to the business, it may not be important to the business owner or the county, but it's extremely valuable to residents and township officials. The township is volunteering to act as a communication link between the operator and the residents. Having an open-ended time for sound data submittal can allow for unauthenticated sound data reports to be produced and presented as real-time reports. Let's remember the CUP goes to the property and follow-on owners. The CUP generates or grants tremendous benefits to the holder. Our ask from the business owner is one simple email to the township for every outdoor amplified music event, period. That doesn't seem like a lot. Suggested language. Failure to submit reports indicated by 8B, D, within 5 business days following a qualifying event will result in a $250 fine or be considered a violation of the CUP. In summary, our township would not support a conditional use permit without written conditions that provide the surrounding residents clear protection from amplified music routinely exceeding Minnesota Rule Chapter 730. The MPCA Guide for Noise Control indicates local governments, this is in quotes out of the guide, which includes the county, is included in this definition of local governments. Local governments are required to take reasonable measures to prevent the approval of land use activities that will violate the state noise standard immediately upon granting the land use. The township recognizes and appreciates the Planning Committee's recent changes in the language of sound management requirements for CUP. We truly do. You've moved a long way. The new language informs the business owner what they must do at each outdoor music event. The costs associated with the music event compliance are known to them, and they're generally free from later requirement increases. All good. The county is not required to spend any staff time on our requested modifications to receive this data. We're going to do it for free. You can, the county, you can continue to be an as-requested agency, as you wish. So it's cost neutral to the county. A monetary fine of $250 is maybe unusual for you, but it is required to ensure the business owner does not grow to treat this requirement like an open-ended submittal period, as mentioned above, with all of the value destruction that goes along with it. And it does. Let's take this recommended action list in your agenda package, the last mile. Let's make it meaningful for everyone. We've provided several alterations to the written CUP language in your package. They are requirements for township support. Without the changes, this can easily be deja vu for us. Our changes are best, they are in the best interest for Todd and Sarah. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I ask Doug a question?
Sure.
Doug? You basically spoke tonight about the music part of this, the outdoor music.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the township has serious concerns about that. The rest of the project, what's the township's feeling?
It's a great question, and I probably should have spent more time on it. I was so short in the early part. As it was described to us over the years that they've been developing the project, it is about teaching skills, learning, staying on site was these young men and women who are coming to learn skills don't have the money to, $180 to pay a motel room 5 days a week and then add that to their training costs. So they stay on site. That all worked well for us. And we really felt that everything they're doing in there can be confined out of sight, and the pollution, what they're doing, the noise, it would almost be a non-event. It was only when the wedding showed up and the outdoor music. And then the language that, this language is the same as the others, and they may not know it, the flower shop may not know it, but they got language there that basically says, you can do sound and outdoor things 7 days a week, because that's just the way it's interpreted. The language seems clear. It's not interpreted that way. So we won't go there. If Todd and Sarah, maybe they don't plan to. Maybe their boys end up wanting to do all weddings. We want that cut off, blocked. It'll be impossible for them to go over. And can't be interpreted any different. That's why we're so stressful about this. This is what lets the cat out of the bag, or the next owner, because they're going to take it and they're going to take that interpretation and run with it. And it's just a lot of pain for everybody. So the intent, it's good. Maybe they can't stay on site if there's a wedding. Maybe nobody can stay on site if it's a wedding, because that's not what it was for. It wasn't for wedding guests to stay on site, at least not when it was described to us originally. So the two are kind of crossing paths. But understanding the merits, the dollars that have to take place, and they got to afford the mortgage. We knew when I was here last year, it's enticing and it's going to pay the rent. But we can't put another one of those things in our township that is an event center first, and an orchard, I'm sorry, it's about milk and honey, an orchard second. This can't be an event center first, and maybe once or twice a year they're going to teach skills. We would not support that. Township wouldn't support that. The residents sure, I mean, this is kind of a compromise position. You can sure hear there's a lot of residents who don't want it at all, but we are trying to find some workable things where everybody can coexist.
So without the language you're kind of speaking to regarding the music, the township wouldn't be supportive of outdoor music with the current recommendations that the county has put forward.
No, if you can't get that language changed, our experience, we see the writing on the wall. It's coming, so it'd be a no.
Okay.
And the language we're requesting doesn't kill their idea. So it'd be a shame to kill their idea. We think, not put the language in and then take your vote, or at least consider it. I mean, you guys have a lot of things to consider. A lot of residents here live around are absolutely no. And you guys have to take that really, really seriously. So, but this is where the board has felt for a long time. So I delivered what we think.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I ask him a question?
Doug.
Does the township have that language written in their ordinance?
In their own what?
In your own ordinance, the township, do you have that language that you read to us? Do you have a township ordinance that spells it out like that?
We are putting together a township ordinance that does talk about sound and music, stuff like this. It's a resort that we felt we had to go to because we're unsure about the pathway that this committee will continue to take. We are reluctant, but so yes, we have the requirement for the MPCA. We have, you got to turn it in right away. If you're a part-time event center, very part-time, we've given 5 days to turn your thing in. If you're an everyday event center, you got 2 days, because it's just an email, because we have to react much quicker. Or they have to realize what they did. I mean, we really work on the premises that if they truly knew what they were doing at the time the music was being played, they'd turn it on. We're trying to make it against the law for you not to know what you're doing, what your music is, because they don't make any more profit being over the limit or under, so there's nothing in it for them. And believe me, the township doesn't need $250. Believe me, that's the last thing we want. We'll be there schooling them how to get them in, how to get them done, how to get them turned in, because there's nothing but aggravation and wasted value for playing music over that limit. Money, value, life just gets lit on fire when that music, nobody benefits from that music being that loud. The band doesn't, the business owner doesn't, the residents here don't. The developer doesn't make any more money. It is truly a waste. So we are putting all of our focus on people will do the right thing if they just know what they're doing. So that's where we went.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other comments from the public? Other comments from the public? All right, seeing none, Todd and Sarah, do you want to respond to anything you've heard?
That was a lot of material.
I took a few notes. I think Alex and Nicole, wonderful concerns, young family. We raised our 4 kids predominantly in the location we're at today. I'm pretty sure their property where it meets our line is impassable. It's all wetland and swamp. Correct me if I'm wrong. The acquisition to sell that neighboring acreage was a separate parcel and never really was part of the long-term plan. I mean, it was part of a long-term plan, but it wasn't part of the current plan. We didn't need it to do this. In fact, we kind of left some attributes of future thoughts of one of our children building and collaborating with our farming and event space on that acreage, but that would have involved allocation of acreage to, but that's a different story. So in the front side, it was just acreage we owned. It wasn't contingent upon the operation we were setting out to create here. I think, we've come into this, and I'll mention the other venue that's created stress for the township. We've had some open conversations and dialogue at some township meetings, and I am complicit and understand their concerns. I do not want to aggravate any neighbors, whether they like me or not. That's not my goal. I don't want to cause any more friction than they seem to carry for whatever reason. So some of the things Doug is talking about, I'm fine with that. Then there's proof and verification that I wasn't over the limit and it wasn't a frivolous complaint. We know more than at the close of this last meeting in July of '24. Somehow, I guess, people were creeping on me and knew about an upcoming event, a class reunion, and it was just ironic. I knew it was going to happen. They called at 10, and at 10:20, the sheriff showed up, whether it was loud or not, right? So I think this measures that Doug wants would have verified whether or not we actually were loud or too loud. So, I don't know what else to tell you, it just,
I think some of the other concerns that were addressed are answered in the, what'd you call it, the spreadsheet or the,
There's a spreadsheet in your packet that outlines their response to the reasons it was tabled. I think it's right after the application. Go to that letter from Todd and Sarah, and I'll go down.
I think it's on page 14.
so I think some of the concerns people had or questions are answered on that form.
Okay. Questions, comments from the committee members?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
can I just address a couple things too?
absolutely, yes.
The question of the process to increase the number of events, if they want to do more in the future, that would require another public hearing and amendment of this permit. So if they do want to change what they're doing or change any of these conditions, then it would be coming back for a public hearing. Everyone would get notice. The stormwater and impervious calculation. So what we calculate is what's new impervious surface that's proposed. So we're not counting any of the existing impervious, it's only new, and that's how that 40,000 square foot number came up. And then, let's see, you touched on the lot size or the selling of that parcel. The violation language, basically any condition that's not being met is a violation of the CUP. It is specifically called out in 8A, but that applies to every condition, so just wanted to clarify that too.
All right, thank you. Comments, questions from committee members?
I have a couple questions to start. How many acres do you currently own?
just south of 50 acres, 49 point whatever.
Okay. And then the second thing, one of the conditions, condition number 11 is self-contained RV units may be allowed occasionally in the parking lot. How many RVs are we looking at allowing occasionally?
That conversation was had with the county, and obviously if it was a full venue and the parking space was needed, 0.
But I mean, is it a campground?
We do have 6 designated spots. There would be power hookups, but no water and sewer. If they're parked there, they would be using the hub's facilities, which means I can't start. The goal is to start with the hospitality first. We had a history with one of our cottages on Hip Camp until we didn't have proper permits, right? So that was going on for 5 years. I don't think anybody knew the difference. I don't think the neighbors knew. I was transparent about it, and it was a wonderful venue. We had wonderful people that came. We've developed long-term relationships still to this day with some of the guests that stayed there. They were never the drunken, drinking, whatever concerns these people.
Heidi, can I clarify, when you gave the staff report, you said 4 self-contained, right?
Yes, so I did verify with our licensing staff that if they wanted to have the self-contained units in the parking lot, occasionally for certain events, they could have up to 4 without needing a license and needing to meet all kinds of other licensing requirements for a campground. So yeah, if their event doesn't need all those parking spaces, they potentially could have up to 4 of those for overnight.
In addition to the scope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, should we put that in here just for clarification? If
Yeah.
this would get approved that no more than 4?
Yeah, we would word number 11 to limit it to 4.
Okay.
Yep.
The other thing, I mean, it seems like a lot of concerns were around, and for myself as well, around the outdoor music. If we were to take that off the table, that we won't allow outdoor music, would you still go forward with the project?
Well, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, we had annual parties too prior to, somebody asked about the fire, you want to reference that note too? It was a November 21st, and we had 12 inches of snow, and it was icy, and cars couldn't get in there. And it was interesting because many of the local departments responded, and they did a practice they had only done in drill, where they had a pool on Highway 60, they dumped water, Avon, St. Joe, St. Steve, and they were all working together, Way Park, and then they pumped it up to another pool by our house, and they pumped it up to the fire. They were 200, yeah, amazing. They did a practice that they had only ever done as a drill. They had never done it in real life. Wow. But it wasn't the driveway that kept them from getting up. It was the 12 inches of snow the night of the fire. So with that said, what was your question? Outdoor venues. We up until that fire, the 2014, we'd had 1 to 3 outdoor on a stage, parties, music. My front neighbors came, my back neighbors, I don't know if they heard it. They seemed to think they did. But it was respectful, it was family oriented. Our kids were young. They did pumpkin carving, scarecrow stuffing, potluck, hayride, bonfire, and live music. It was just one lady from our church, after 4 years of doing that, we did it 10 years in a row, she said, wow, you guys, this is fellowship. It wasn't a party. It was, yeah, there's music, there's food. Any good festivity would have all of those attributes. It doesn't need to be called and labeled a party with violence and trespassers and drugs and whatever all these frivolous and ambiguous accusations are. It's just they're projecting their own fears onto a family that has lived their life fully and I can't say freely, but there is so much creativity going on with our property, and I want to share that beyond the community that I have. I want an outreach. I want to bring that to the community. Did I answer your question?
Well, you kind of did. I mean, I'm trying to
Yeah.
weigh, and I've been involved with the township and county government for many years. My thought always was, I try to weigh the property rights of the individual against the detriment to the neighborhood, kind of, because the neighbors have property rights as well. And it just seems like I've been involved with 2 of these outdoor events with permitting and things. And one was Milk and Honey. I actually voted to approve that 10 years ago or whatever it was. But it grew to much more than we were led on to believe it was going to be. So I have concerns about the outdoor music. You look at, there's a reason most cities don't allow outdoor music other than maybe one event a year for the town picnic or parade or whatever it is. So I do have concerns about the music. I really do. That's why my question was, I think the rest of the project is very well thought out and acceptable. It's the outdoor music that I think will stir up a lot of neighborhood angst.
Yeah, understood.
We have worked really closely with the township and the county through all of this and are wanting to abide by whatever rules are set forth. We've come to an agreement with the township on the number of events that they feel is acceptable, and it's not a lot. We're not asking to party every night of the year, and I mean, it's very limited, and the hours are limited, and we have no issue whatsoever with following the guidelines that they're asking for with installing sound equipment. And I mean, we live there. This is our home. I'm not wanting heavy metal music going till 2 in the morning either. I mean, I feel like what we're asking for is reasonable, and that we've worked very openly with the county and the township on it.
Other comments, questions?
Question for staff?
Yes.
I thought what Mr. Frederickson shared was compelling, in that the potential for this language to be misinterpreted, or we're not covering all the bases. I guess my question is, and it sounds like we're talking changes to the ordinance, perhaps, that's beyond our scope, I believe. How do we incorporate the interpretation concerns when considering approving this request? Does that make sense? Or you understand my question?
Mr. Chair, Shelley Benson, Environmental Services Director. I do hear what you're saying, and I think that's the hard part here. I think a lot of things are being stated as if we didn't make changes. We did make changes. I don't think the interpretation that we have today in how that language is written would be construed in the same way that the language written in 2017 was written. You can't take that CUP permit from another entity and another time and say it's going to be interpreted the same way with all of the other language that's been put in place. And I think that's fundamentally different, which is why we had the conversation, which is why we wrote specifically the hub area versus this area. That's why we did that, so that we were clear about where it was and why it was. And as Heidi indicated, that if you don't meet the requirements of one of those conditions, that's a violation. When another body in another permit and it's not in violation or written at the same time under different circumstances, you can't continually compare them and make the assumption that the interpretation stays the same. It doesn't. So that's been the struggle, is the assumption that these changes haven't been done. Well, we haven't had any problems with new permits because they haven't occurred. So I can't tell you that there's something else that's, but what the other permits that have had sound relation, help me, Heidi, the two Shadies have both been in compliance. And that's with new language. So I don't know how else to tell you that we have done the things we're supposed to do. We've modified the conditions. We have modified applications. We have tried to be more clear with applicants so that they are aware. And we do ask not just one follow-up question, a myriad of questions. We went back to the township, asked them more questions. We were clear. We were trying to get that clarity for interpretation purposes so that when we write the language, it's clear for us. But to compare it to something from 2017 when we didn't have those issues and those things didn't occur, so you don't know what to write when you haven't had the experience. Well, we've had the experience, which is why we've made the changes and written things the way we have. So that's the best way I can answer it. We are certainly always open to different thoughts and different ideas, and if you have a different way of looking at it or a different way that you want a condition written, that is exactly what you can do. But that's the responsibility that we've taken, and we've really worked hard to try to amend conditions for that purpose.
So we would have the authority or the ability on this board to incorporate some of the conditions.
Yep,
that
and we will
Mr.
tell you where we think, and that chart was one of those reasons why we did that, so that you would see where we think there's concerns. Adding a fine to something is not something that we do with violations. A violation's a violation. If we have repeated violations and the property owner doesn't address it, then we have to come back in front of this body for potential revocation. That's the process. We don't fine people for non-violation. It just becomes a violation. It's a process. So the township does not have those standards. They haven't adopted them as of yet, to my knowledge. So they had a lot of conversation about that and a significant amount of work that they put into that. So those were really good, but those are not additional standards or separate standards. If the township wants to have a separate permit, they are certainly within their right to do so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I got a number of questions.
Yes.
First of all, Todd, you know, looking at the map there, and we talk about the outdoor music, do you have an area that music's going to take place?
Well, the upper level has the glass garage doors.
Oh,
So
okay.
you still could have the venue in there and open it to the patio to the south.
Okay, so basically, the outdoor music would then take place on the patio in front of the building?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an obvious place to perform
I'm not,
that.
I'm
No.
just going out to the property. Look, you're
Yeah.
gonna go out to the
No.
meadow, put a stage out in the meadow and do something like that.
Well, that'd be Woodstock and.
Well, yeah, but that's,
cattle
we don't
might
know
not
what
like
your
it.
intentions are.
In looking at this plan here, and the bottom, well, on the left side is where would be,
Where the doors are.
yes, right there, Shelley
Okay,
has.
so then you'd put a makeshift band stage there at that area?
I don't do
I-
anything makeshift. but-
Well, I mean,
yeah.
well,
Just
you're
being-
gonna put it in front of the doors. I mean, it's not gonna be permanent because you have the doors there.
Right,
I mean,
right.
the musicians would set up somewhere in that area. We don't have a specific,
Yeah.
And then what about numbers? How many folks do you intend to have out there on the property?
Well, we're in collaboration with septic design people, and that, I mean, the drawing shows the indoor venue, that's about 100 seats. And I don't think it would happen in December, but with our outdoor venue numbers, that patio in nice weather could effectively double that.
Okay, but
Yep.
but on the recommendation here, there is no number on there.
Well, that's,
Likewise,
I'm
you
not
could
sure
bring
why
in,
then.
you could bring in porta potties, and you could have up to how many people,
I've been,
Heidi, what
I've
would they
been
be
s-
able to have out there for numbers?
I don't know,
We wouldn't have a specific limit unless
No
they.
number at this time that's being designated, so that
Right.
would be something that the
So
planning
then what would be
commission
the maximum? If there's no number designated, how many people could they have out there?
It depends, if it was in the building, the fire code will dictate the building.
Okay, but with
But
outdoor
past
music?
that, we don't dictate the number unless the planning commission chooses to dictate a number.
So
for a
they could
site.
have 2,000-3,000 people out there?
In theory, but the reality would be, is that if you go over 999 people for an event, then it's large gathering, that's a separate process. And we would hold to that standard as well. So you couldn't have over 1,000 people at an event. And that event would be over the time span of that event. So it's not 1,000 people, a different 1,000 people, you know, it's that coming and going of 1,000 people that dictate large gathering requirements. So if the planning commission wants to dictate a site limit to people at an event or at this venue, that's up to the planning commission.
And so, Mr. Chair, then my question is, so that you could have up to 1,000 people there on the property whenever you do your event, without putting a number there? Do you see my
Yeah,
problem I have? There's a
Yeah.
considerable amount of vagueness with what we're doing here.
it's interesting we're having this conversation because, you know, the numbers never were even revealed to be that big. Everything has been hinged on septic systems and amenities, bathrooms.
Right.
And that's all been designed to have a maximum of 220 people. So this idea that I could have 1,000, I'm like going, geez, how could I do that?
Well, that's
I don't, in theory, yeah, but in practice, there's nowhere to park. It wouldn't happen.
Well,
The parking's been laid out.
Then you'd be okay with setting a maximum number?
Absolutely. I
Okay,
never
that's
thought I
good.
could have more than 223.
That's good, because the CUP recommendation doesn't have a number. Likewise, as far as the hours of operation when you can have music. In this, the way that's written with the recommendation, they can have music every day till 10 o'clock.
Well, and Doug attested to that and made some valid concerns and points. I guess I never even considered having music all day. You guys are giving me new ideas here.
Well,
1,000 people. I'm seriously though, yeah.
but see, your intentions are good, but
I-
unless we have it in writing.
Let's do it. Let's do
Okay.
it. 223 people max. Let's, you know, our parking is set up for that. That's the limit on parking unless we're on the highway or taking our electric fence down or, right? That's valid. Very valid. I just assumed it was already determined by the size of our septic, the number of our stools and showers and.
But you do have the opportunity to bring in porta potties.
And that's new to me.
Yeah,
I
okay.
had no idea. I had no idea.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Question on the number of people, 223, does that include staff?
Probably not.
So
They're
you're
not sitting
saying
at the-
223
There's no-
guests?
Yeah, and those are questions the septic guy would ask, because he wants to know what the facilities need to support. And if we had 15 staff and 223 people, he's designing a system that would accommodate that, not,
I just wanted that clarified, thanks.
yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I question how that number would ever be enforced. You know, I mean, everyone's intentions are good, but the more things we can get in writing and, you know, I think the better off everyone will feel. But how do you enforce 223 people? I mean, if you have an outdoor band and you're taking tickets and all of a sudden you got 225, are you gonna tell them guys they gotta go home? You know, you're not gonna do that. So I mean, then whatever number we put in is non-enforceable in my mind. I mean, I'm not saying there shouldn't be a number, but how are you, it's not,
But the enforcing of
Yeah.
any of this
that's right.
is a problem.
You know, I even have questions about the self-monitoring of the noise. You know, I mean, it's, yeah. I have a little experience with the one at St. Anna with Shady's, and it sounds like the county hasn't had any complaints, but the township has. And I have personally myself, you know, but some folks were threatened with a lawsuit if they keep complaining by the owners. So, you know, I kind of have a sour taste for outdoor music.
Other comments, questions from the committee members?
Mr. Chair, the one comment that I have is related to the ordinances and the township level versus the county level, and being asked to police a township level ordinance. And I think we've had that issue many times. We've talked about it. I just question, you know, we've changed language, we've added the conditions, we've done everything, we've had the applicants put a lot of thought and time into this, and I still wonder why the township can't pass an ordinance that clarifies their issues and put a permit program together, as staff has talked about.
Other comments?
Well, I would just respond to that, Mr. Chair, that we could incorporate what the township has said as the conditions in this permit, if we choose to do that.
Yeah, my feelings are I don't want to, I totally respect what you said about balancing property rights versus, you know, for everyone, the owner and the surrounding neighbors. I can see this situation happening where I live, and so I'm trying to consider all of that. But there is an ordinance, it's written, it's an allowed use. They've met all of their standards right now, and they're saying they'll agree to more. And sometimes I just want to be an advocate for that, to say we can't treat everything with complete fear of the unknown when we've already allowed the use within the ordinance. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Other comments, questions? Other comments?
Mr. Chair, and then, of course, this is a CUP and not an IUP. so that it would then stay with the property.
Mhm.
So if they would find an entrepreneur that wanted to do something different and have 1,000 people a night, every night of the week, they could do that unless we put guidelines on it.
Other questions, comments? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to close. We could be here a very long time.
You're looking for a motion to close the public hearing?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing's closed. Further discussion? Further discussion?
You know, I have concerns about the music, I have to tell you. I don't have a lot of concerns about the rest of it, but I'm not comfortable with the way the conditions are. So if the music is part of this application, I'm not sure I can support it. Unless we can incorporate some of St. Joe Township's, I'll call them conditions.
Further discussion?
I would agree. In my relatively short time on this commission, we've had outdoor noise issues come before this board, and it's just not clear in my mind that the conditions are in place that don't leave us open to being misinterpreted, misapplied, not clear enough, and allowing for abuses of what was initially stated as their intent or purpose. Yeah, and I agree, but you know, we're assuming the worst case in this situation. That might not be fair either, but you know, it's just not clear. I'm not confident that we have the ability to address that potential misinterpretation or misapplication as to what the rules actually are. So I'm not sure how we fix that.
Mr. Chair, I appreciated what the Doug Frederickson from the township said, and I do appreciate the fact that they said that they were only in support, and I think that should be added into the findings of fact, that they were only in support of the project moving forward or the CUP moving forward, provided that their conditions that they wrote are met, and except for the fine. If the county doesn't issue fines, then I don't believe we should put that in there, but.
Am I able to speak?
Sure. Yep.
In lieu of Doug's, all of his verbiage, I'm complicit. Just the need to get it paperwork in or push an email in within 2 days. I mean, there's a lot going on. We run a couple companies, and it's just like, why do you want to store all that data? That's where I feel upon request. And if you want to put a time frame on that, 48 hours or 72 hours, great, that's fine. If I can't come up with it, I'm in violation. But to have to send that in every time I have what's defined as a venue or an outdoor event, there's a lot going on. I mean, you're cleaning the place, you're managing people, you're repairing things, you're grooming, you're plowing, you're mowing. It seems like a little thing to them, but that clerical thing that has to happen within 2 days, I would like that to go away, and then just have it be upon request.
I think part of their request is that that we have the data on each, that the sound recording, there's specific about what recording equipment is purchased and used, and that it does record at the time, and having that data on hand, I'm totally in favor of that.
I believe at another meeting it was mentioned that there would be an exemption for a minimum number of events.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that,
And so would you want to be staying under that minimum so that you wouldn't be obligated to come under the statute that they're proposing?
did we define that minimum?
Was it 4 or 6?
I don't remember. I don't know that it was actually,
Mr. Chair, that's a township thing. That's not the county's requirements. So if you're going to go to what the township has proposed under their sound, that's different than what we have in front of us. And I want to be clear that we didn't exempt anything. We haven't accepted their ordinance, their proposed ordinance. So I don't want to just start going down a path of where they had proposed various things. That's not where we're at. What I just heard the landowner say is within 72 hours upon request. So if we hear them and there's a complaint, then we make a request that with the 72 hours of somebody asking for it, then they would supply it. I mean, that's reasonable, because when I get requests, I make them into the landowner. Right now, under other permits, we don't have that same language, so I can't force something. It's not a violation if it's not in the language. This would be in the language. That's how we get to interpretation. So I can't go to exemptions because that wasn't a part of what we did, and that was in somebody else's proposed ordinance. I don't want to get confused with that.
Mr. Chair, however, the applicant said that they would be willing to accept the proposal made by the township. Otherwise, we're gonna smith this whole thing out tonight. Is that what we're gonna try to do?
Well, we have the permit before us.
Yes.
So we are acting on the permit before us based upon the county ordinances and standards. I mean, we are not an arm of the township. So we react to our own permits and standards, and the board members present will vote according to their interpretation of those standards.
And if you wanted to modify any of the requirements that are in the recommended action, you can make a request to do that, and then we would modify that language and then have it specifically stated so that everyone's clear as to what that would be.
But if I understand it correctly, we have the ability to set as a condition the language proposed by the township. We're not writing their policy, we're not amending our policy, but we're saying it's a condition that they have.
You could add.
The condition.
You could take the language that we currently have and make modifications that would reflect what their request, what they've proposed. That could be an addition or a change to the condition. Yep, so you could do that. I'm just being cautious with the things that have been stated. There was a lot of stuff that was stated. So I want to make sure we're clear about it and we walk through it the way you want to.
Other comments? All right, hearing none, findings of fact. Is the proposal consistent with the zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
Yes. Mr. Chair, it is. It's consistent under Ordinance 439, Sections 4.8, 6.51, and 9.3.
Thank you. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? Please list applicable sections in favor or against.
I don't believe it does, Mr. Chair. Under living goals, number 2, manage the impacts of growth and development on the county's rural character and natural resources. One could make the argument both ways on that. The rural character, the music, I think, is going to disturb the rural character. Also, rural residential policies on number 3. It asks to minimize conflicts between adjacent land uses and natural resources. And I think the outdoor music will just create conflicts between adjacent properties.
I'm going to say agritourism policy, number 1, that they're subject to zoning restrictions, building codes, in compliance with Minnesota accessibility standards, taxation and business permits, and also other MPCA standards. Would be in favor of this, where this application is a proposed agritourism standard, and the conditions as identified would be in line with all required permits and restrictions. Other thoughts? Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, it is not compatible with the neighborhood or neighboring area. No one else has got an event center on their property. Nobody else, did we hear, plays loud music and disturbs their neighbors next door. So bringing in an event center in this location does not fit the area.
How has the applicant demonstrated that standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
Mr. Chair, I believe, based on the staff's testimony and all of the information that's been presented to us, they've presented a plan that could be, that could meet the criteria stated in the ordinance.
Other issues pertinent to this matter? Any that are applicable, please list them as identified on the screen.
Mr. Chair, the township input, they have serious concerns about the outdoor music and how the current conditions address them.
Okay. Having run through the findings of fact, I would entertain a motion to approve or deny the request with the conditions or modifications to said conditions.
Well, under number 11, we will add a maximum of 4 RVs.
Correct, yep, that will say, yeah, limited to 4 self-contained RV units may be allowed. Yeah. Yeah, that's.
I make a motion to deny this request.
We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second for the motion to deny. So the vote is we are voting to deny recommending approval to the board. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye, whatever. I'm opposed.
Can we just
Roll call?
clarify that? Yep.
Roll call vote. Jason Wienerman, opposed. David Benchert.
What, hold on.
Wait.
The motion is to
Deny
deny.
the
So
recommendation.
So
opposed,
you're in favor.
Apologize.
and Jason Wienerman, you're still opposed
I'm
to
still
the motion?
Opposed to the motion to deny, yes.
Okay.
All right, so the question at hand is the motion is to deny recommending to the full board. So when we do the roll call, if you are supporting the denial, that's a yes.
Say aye.
Aye.
Yes, correct.
Aye, okay. So, no, David's an aye. Dave Nafla,
Yes.
Leroy,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Tara.
No.
4 to 2?
4 to 2.
The motion fails?
No.
No, the motion passes,
Passes.
sorry, the motion for
Passed.
denial passes.
Correct.
This will go before the county board on the 24th for further consideration.
Correct.
All right. So thank you for your presentation. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5.
No other discussion.
Thank you. Minutes from August 28th. Motion to review, questions, comments, changes. Hearing none, motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Tara, and then
A second.
favor aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I abstain because I wasn't here?
No. Yes, you can abstain.
I abstain also.
Okay. Chair adjourns the meeting at 8:41. And then we are also we're having the same party next Thursday. Are we all going to be here? Will we-